All right, last time we were talking about weaponry and nuclear weapons in the pre-flood era, before Noah's flood. But after Noah's flood, there was also a post-deluge civilization that possessed nuclear weapons. And I showed you last time that there were 25 separate sites around the world, 25 sites where you find green glass, which is the aftermath of a nuclear explosion on the ground, which fuses and melts the sand in the ground and turns it into this glass. We first saw it in the modern era at Alamogordo, New Mexico. After the first atomic bomb had been detonated, they looked down at the bottom and they said, wow, look at that. It is so hot that it just melts the elements and turns it into green glass. There are 25 sites around the world where we see that have been discovered, probably mostly by accident. And in many places, these are ancient cities that have been uncovered by archaeologists. You don't have to have a Rhodes Scholarship to figure out that, we did not know about nuclear energy until 1945. So if there's 25 sites around the world where we find where nuclear bombs have been torched off prior to 1945, what's your conclusion? Now, on Easter Island, there's a unique wood carving. In fact, more than one. There's a number of unique wood carvings on the island. This is separate now from those big stone heads, those big stone carvings. There are wood carvings with Semitic features. Semitic, that's white man's features. And they show the effects of nuclear radiation on a human body, invariably representing an emaciated body with goitered glands, swollen groin, clenched mouth, wasted sunken cheeks, collapsed cervical vertebrae, and a distinct break between the lumbar and dorsal vertebrae, popped eyes, and distended stomach, all in remarkable detail. These are the unmistakable nightmare symptoms of exposure to severe dosage of nuclear radiation. Now, does this perhaps tie in with the remains of fiery destruction discovered on the island? Pioneer nuclear scientist Professor Frederick Soddy, he's a Nobel Prize winner and a discoverer of isotopes. He envisioned a past civilization which had mastered atomic energy, and he said, as far back as 1909, he said, can we not read into them the prehistoric traditions, some justification for the belief that some former forgotten race of men attained not only to the knowledge that we have so recently won, but also to the power that is not yet ours? The specter of past atomic warfare is increasingly more tenable as new information comes to light. Whatever we choose to imagine, there's always the hard fact that there is already too much evidence from too many parts of the world to call it nonsense. It is a fact, or it couldn't turn up so often. The secret was known. Inevitably, justification was found to use it. Civilization, populations, disappeared. Now, do we see that warning today? This is the jest to end all jesting. Once more, a universal time fuse has been lighted. Now, the wisdom and the technical splendor of the antediluvian civilization was so astounding that it was never and has not been to this day equaled. Even after the deluge, the reconstituted world system was conceived by races with an intelligence far superior to our own. And there's clear evidence, literally by the tons, that it was so. In many ways, their civilization was comparable to our own. They had air travel, they had underwater devices, submarines, they were very modern. I don't think you can construct that super civilization and find exactly another United States or Russia or China. They traveled on a different orientation, whether in lighting or transport. They reached the same results by a different method. And because of the fragmentary and incomplete nature of our present knowledge concerning them, any attempt by exposition is necessarily imperfect. However, the evidence points to scientific knowledge that was worldwide all at the same time. And it appears that work stopped on a global scale more or less overnight. Genius, perverted by a materialistic philosophy, culminated in corruption and violence. And you know the sequel. Striking parallels exist between that period and our own today. More to the point, there are some ancient biblical prophecies that foretell the appearance in the sky of blood fire and mushroom pillars of smoke to occur in that final age when man acquires the ability to destroy the earth. It is stated plainly that the world's cities will be devastated and that the elements shall melt with fervent heat. And according to this, we are heading toward that day when everything stops, toward that moment when Earth's pendulum will shudder and stop in mid-swing. Now, there's something unique about Bible prophecy, and indeed this book makes audacious claims for itself, actually challenging the world to prove whether it is a divine message to us or not, by testing its prophecies. Now, were you aware that 1/3 of the Bible is Bible prophecy? 1/3 of the entire book is dedicated to that one subject, just foretelling future events. And there's something else. It informs us that an unseen overlord has been quietly shaping human history, and that he will reveal his intentions before causing certain events to transpire. Now, come to think of it, the prophecies to date have been uncannily accurate. Events leading to the 20th century have been outlined step by step in correct sequence. Then there is the current scenario, our explosion of knowledge, the awakening to strength of weak Asian nations, a militarily aggressive Russia, the 1967 return of Israel to Jerusalem, a coming economic political union of 10 nations, or groups of nations in Europe. And the list goes on and on. But all of these are to occur against a background of increasing earthquakes, famines, war, and unprecedented social breakdown. Then come predictions more startling than fiction. Soon, uncontrollable panic grips the nations as they see no way out. Then a charismatic leader, already clearly identified, arises with the solution, the Hegelian solution. For the first time since ancient Babylon, all nations are now drawn into a one-world government. An electronic network already is in place, which makes it easy, makes it possible, makes it likely. The world leader cancels the existing currencies and establishes a worldwide numbering system. Every person on Earth is required to receive an imprint. Dissidents are not tolerated. For a short season, the planet is at peace. The world dictator is very popular. Now, the utter wickedness of this man is not exposed to the world until it's too late, when suddenly all hell breaks loose. World trade collapses. Religious extremism mounts. And we are plunged into a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation even to that time. Now, the scripture predicts that so great will be the devastation that unless the conflict is halted in midstream, no life will be left on planet Earth. And it will be stopped. It'll be stopped just in time, but only because of the supernatural intervention of our Creator, live and direct and in person. Undoubtedly, human history is racing toward some appalling catastrophe. The good news is that the Bible has clearly foreseen these events and revealed them. It does offer evidence that the Creator is still in control and will do what man cannot do: act decisively to save the human race from total annihilation. So, who's to blame? Human perversity is the main reason for the mess that the world is in today. But you may ask, well, is it likely that an all-powerful, caring Creator would allow any of His creation to go wrong? And the answer is, of course. You're witnessing it, live and direct, right now, today. If He decided to give men His free will, would this have happened? Well, tell me, would it be better? Would it be a better world if He had not given us free will, but instead controlled our every move like a cow chewing her cud in the field? What if we were just robots? Think about that. But as it is, we have freedom of choice, and we can demonstrate hatred or love, just as we prefer, just as we wish. So let's face it, if we did not have free will, then love, generosity, and other qualities would be unsatisfying, even meaningless. Life wouldn't be worth living. And as I said earlier, man has created noble, or he was created noble. He has perverted his own character by misusing the free will that his Creator has given him. So no, you're not in a process of evolution which will enable you to create your own paradise here on Earth. Such a philosophy is dangerous. It will lull millions into being unprepared for the eventual climactic events dead ahead. And as the prophecies lead us unerringly along the trail toward Armageddon, the flood of Noah sounds a warning. The information that we've dug up concerning our past suddenly becomes relevant, very relevant, like a time bomb or a time machine ready to explode. But after D-Day, then what? For those who choose it and qualify, there's a new world order. It's coming. It's just not what President Bush had in mind. It's a world in which eternal youth, love, loving concern, and security are the norm, where transformed individuals are able to live in harmony. Now, if all of this is true, then I suppose people aplenty are going to miss out, and I wouldn't. And wouldn't some of them just love to be there? Think of it. It's a whole new world to mess up. I thought that was a pretty good epilogue. Thought I'd share it with you. Now, there's one last item over here called astronomy that I thought I would point out as kind of a concluding scenario here for you to consider. Now, remember, Jonathan Gray put together 969 records from around the world that point to ancient civilization.